What does FBT means to you?
Sina, what does freedom-based training mean to me? That's a really big question to start out with.
Yeah.
I wanted to know if it was possible to train horses without using any tools. And that meant to me ropes or halters or food rewards. And to put a name to that, I called it freedom-based training, which meant the horse was free to go find whatever food they wanted in the environment. The horse was free to walk away from me because they were not attached by a rope. They were free because I was closer to the fence than they were, and they had more space to get away from me if they wanted to. I realized that there are degrees of freedom. Nothing is 100% free, but I wanted as much freedom as possible in the training, so I called it freedom-based training.
Yeah, sounds good. What do you think is the most difference to other trainings? If you would like to explain it for people they don't know anything about freedom-based training.
I think freedom-based training takes the best ideas from every kind of horse training out there. And what it does is it asks us to think more deeply about the horse's perspective. What does the horse feel about this training? So if I use any kind of training that I know, and the horse has the freedom to walk away from me, and the horse has the freedom to get any food they want without me stopping them, then would they still want to do that training? And what freedom-based training does is it takes any theory that you can see with horse training, and it breaks those theories into small pieces so that each piece feels like something the horse would want to say, yes, I'm interested in that. Because I want them to be free to say yes or no, but I only want to present them small enough pieces that they want to say yes.
Yeah. So sometimes it's only, well, I think sometimes it's only the one piece of a lot of pieces, and that is the key to get in contact to the horse.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I think different horses need different keys. So it's hard to know which small piece this particular horse needs until you study with them and you watch them and you listen to their responses to you.
Yeah. So you have some different horses, and so you know it very well. That can be a lot of keys or pieces, and which is the right one. It isn't very easy sometimes.
It isn't easy, but that's what makes it fun. It's a puzzle to solve. And every horse has certain needs to be filled before they want to learn more about you and they want to be more of a partner to you. And once you develop that desire where the horse says, I want to work with you, then you can do anything. It just depends on if the horse will live long enough to break it up into small enough pieces that they want to say yes to every piece.
Yeah, yeah. Great. Do you have an example or an exactly example to work with freedom-based training, or in another way? Maybe to explain it more exactly for people they don't know a lot of freedom-based training?
So freedom-based training starts as simply as you can imagine, in the space the horse lives in their home. And when we walk into that space, we observe how the horse responds to our presence. And every movement we make will get a response from the horse. And every moment that we choose to be still and be in harmony with the horse, that will get a response also. So freedom-based training is the art of reading the responses so that we can develop our choices about where to move, where to stand, and when to be in harmony and when not to be in harmony. Once the horse sees that we understand them and we can take actions at the right time, then they start to become interested in doing more. They want to know what else we can do together. And so we build up to being able to touch them. And then we build up to being able to ask them to move. And we build up to being able to ask them to change focus and think more. And if we do this right, their tendencies to think and play and yield to make room for us get better and better. When we do it wrong, their tendencies to freeze and just shut down or go into fight or flight become bigger. And that's how we know if we're getting it right or we're getting it wrong. The point is not to change the horse. The point is to change ourselves so that the horse offers to change.
Do you have an exactly example to be in harmony with the horse?
Well, there's two different kinds of harmony that I talk about. One is matching harmony, where you put your feet just like the horse's feet. You look at the same thing the horse is looking at. You try and breathe in a similar way. You hold the same amount of tension in your muscles. This kind of matching harmony actually only feels good to a horse when their stress levels are fairly low. If their stress levels are fairly high, it's not of benefit to them if everybody seems stressed. So if a horse's stress levels are high, it's better if we do what I call complementary harmony or complementary flow. And that's where we're a little bit like them, but we're a little bit different, which means if they're busy eating hay, we're going to look out for danger. So we're doing a different thing, but it complements them. It makes them feel safe. Okay. If they're looking one direction for danger, we might look in the opposite direction for danger so that both directions are covered and safe. And when a horse's stress is high, they're not going to want us to match. They're going to want us to be complementary. And so we have to decide which kind of harmony is better for the horse we have today.
Thanks. So, what do the people need to do freedom-based training?
Say that again. Oh, I'm not sure of the question.
What do you think the people need to do freedom-based training? Not tools, but in his or their personality or their thoughts, or in this way.
You know, I think the same thing applies to people as it does to horses. If you can go into freedom-based training with a sense of thinking, trying to figure it out and understand it, a sense of yielding, trying to make room for your horse. They are okay as they are. They do not need to change. And a sense of play. What happens if I do this? What happens if I do that? So these key components of think and yield and play are really necessary in the human as well as the horse. If we go in and we're very frozen and we just don't know what to do, it's more difficult. Or if we go in and we're fighting and we think that horse has to change and they have to change now, it doesn't work very well. Or if we go in and we go, oh my God, this is too much, and we just want to run away, the training is difficult.
Yeah, great. And I love if you say, it doesn't matter, it goes right or it goes wrong.
Yes.
And we have no other possibilities,
Yep.
better or not better.
Yep.
And if it goes wrong or nothing goes better, we have to change it and to think about it. And I, if I realize that, it will be easier than this moment.
Yes.
Yeah.
I am very human and I want to be right all the time.
Me too.
But I have to admit, when I'm wrong, I learn more. And so it is very valuable to get things wrong so that I can do them better tomorrow.
Yeah. I love that you talk a lot about this. Goes wrong, or I thought it must be better, or I thought I must be more about the stallions, or we can do more together. But no, it's okay. Now we can do this, or we can do that, or that. It's I'm looking for the word. It doesn't work now, and it is okay. And I love that you say it often, but that's life. Yeah.
Yep.
And I think we humans, we have to realize this. Then it's more easy. Yeah.
In my current project with the Stallions, I thought I would be much faster at this training because I've been practicing for a long time and I'm good at this.
Yeah.
And I found that Atlas, in particular, my rescued stallion, needed me to learn a lot more. And that meant that I had to make mistakes and come back and do it better tomorrow. And every time that happened, I was frustrated, but I also learned something that I never would have learned if I had just been able to do it right the first time.
Do you think FBT changed your personality?
Yes. Somebody asked me the other day, do you get tired of standing still? And I said, I used to. And I still have a limit, but it's changed because there's so many interesting things that are happening while I'm standing still that I don't get tired as quickly. And that's the biggest way that freedom-based training has changed me, because I can focus. I can focus so much more deeply. And there's so many interesting things that I want to think about. I don't get tired as quickly.
Wonderful. So it can be helpful, or humans can be will be calmer if they do FBT too.
Yeah. But I don't think the goal is to be calmer. I think to be calm is a side effect. It happens just naturally as we learn to think and yield and play and be interested.
Yeah, I think too. So, the another question: can you tell us something about your films, Taming Wilds and Pura Vida? Most difference, or maybe the biggest challenge in each film for you?
Well, the first film, Taming Wilds, I started with a 4-year-old Mustang mare who had been wild for 4 years. And I got permission to take her home within 3 days of being rounded up. So they brought her in with helicopters with her whole herd. And I had a big advantage in that project because she was pregnant and she was very, very thin. So she went from the wild, where she was free, to my home, where she had water all the time and she had food all of the time, and she had a good friend with another mare who had been wild, and they lived together. So she was safe and she was fed, and I got to be part of that situation. So I was like a shadow in the corner, and I got associated with all of those good things. So I did a webinar called The Bank Account of the Relationship, where everything a horse feels that feels good gets associated with what's happening at that time. And so right at the beginning of that first movie, I got associated with so many good things. And that put a lot of money in the bank account. And that was very important, because then I was going to make a lot of mistakes. And every mistake I made, a mistake is when you make the horse feel worse, or the horse feels worse and you happen to be associated with that feeling. So I had never trained a horse with no tools. I had never used this situation where all I had was my human body. I had no food, I had no ropes, I had nothing to pressure the horse. So I was experimenting, and that meant a lot of my experiments went wrong, and I would make her feel worse instead of better. And I think every time that happened and a little money got pulled out of our relationship bank, it was okay, because there was a lot of money to start with. And so Myrna was very, very forgiving. Now, it was a process. I learned a lot, and that was where I developed the whole theory of freedom-based training. Over the course of a year, she learned to enjoy riding with me. She had a foal during that year. She learned to enjoy being a mother and being my friend. We went to the beach. We did so many wonderful things. After that, I was surprised how many people wanted to learn this. And so I ended up starting to travel and teach clinics and just show people the things that I had done to make all of that possible with Myrna. And one of the questions, actually, there were two big questions that people asked me. They said, do you think you could do this with a horse that had a lot of bad experiences with people? Or is it only possible with horses who have no previous experience? And I said, well, I think it's possible, but I don't know for sure. And then the other question was, could you do it faster? Because,
Okay.
in that first year with Myrna, I spent 4 to 6 hours a day with her, 5 days a week. And that's a lot more time than people have to spend. So I didn't know. I don't know if you can do it faster. So during this time, I taught a clinic in Costa Rica with my good friend, Andrea Wadey. And Andrea Wadey invited me there to teach, and we really found we shared a lot of the same ideas. And she said she'd always wanted to cross the country of Costa Rica with horses. And we were riding along in the car one day, I can remember, and she turned to me and she said, do you want to do it with me? And I said, yes. And then we laughed, and then we let it go, and we didn't think about it. And then our conversations kept circling back around to it. It turns out we decided to do it, but I said, I really want to make this into a movie, and I want to test some theories out. So we adopted 2 horses with very bad history with people. They did not trust people. They did not like people. We actually bought them from situations where they were going to die or be made into dog food if we didn't take them. So this was a new start for these 2 horses. And that was going to answer one of these questions. Could you take these theories I was teaching and apply them to a horse that did not trust people? And then the second question was, we knew it was going to take about 2 weeks to cross the country. Could we make any real difference in 2 weeks? Now, it couldn't be strictly freedom-based training because we couldn't have them running off into the jungle and disappearing. They had to stay with us. So we did use halters and lead ropes. We also had a really beautiful, well-trained mare who led the way. So our two geldings would hopefully follow the pretty mare, and we wouldn't have to put a lot of pressure on them. So we set it up to be as free as possible. They would make a choice to follow the pretty mare, and if they wanted to run off into the jungle, they would be stopped by the lead rope, but hopefully they wouldn't want to. And then we took 2 weeks to apply these theories to see, did it change that? And the horse that we got for me, Apollo is what we named him. Andrea got him from the meat market, and she competed against all of the meat buyers, and she won the bid. And then the local people came up to her and they said, "Congratulations on your new horse. Please never try and ride him." And so Andrea called me and she said, "Oh no, Elsa, I'm afraid I bought the wrong horse. You can't ride him." And I said, "It's okay. I can walk across the country next to him. I don't have to ride." And she said, "Okay, if you're comfortable with that." And I said, "Yes, absolutely. I am comfortable with a horse I cannot ride." Now, it turns out that I could ride him, but spoiler alert. We found that out later in the trip. But these are the kinds of things that change when the horse starts to offer. And you can break things into small enough pieces that they start wanting to say yes. Now, the question was, could you do this faster? And the reason I thought we could do it faster was because of how many miles we were traveling every day. I think movement in the horse's body helps them process information faster. So if you want things to work faster, you have to find a way where they move their body more. And there's lots of different ways to do that, but we chose to walk across the country.
Why not?
So that was the second film, Taming Wild, Pura Vida. And then now I am starting the third film with 2 stallions. And the idea was to recreate the first movie that I did with the mare. But this time I was going to have 2 stallions that were older. So they both were 8 or 9 years old when they came to me. One of them was a rescue case. He came with a history of attacking people. I had to sign papers that he was a bad purchase and I would not sue anyone or find fault with them if he hurt me. So I took this horse, promising that I would not blame anyone if he hurt me. And he has been a real education. In contrast to him, I got an 8-year-old stallion from the wild who had been a herd leader. And I picked him out of 75 stallions. And I picked him because when he walked through this paddock of 75 stallions, the waters would part. The other horses would just move out of his way without question. And he just walked wherever he wanted to walk and no one got in his way. In hindsight, I'm not sure I should have picked that horse.
Okay.
But I did.
But you did.
He's very sure of himself. He's very confident. He's had no bad experiences that I know of. So the idea is to film the process of freedom-based training with these 2 very different stallions. I thought I would do 1 year and that would be my movie because I'm good at this. We are now going into our 3rd year. And I post weekly updates on my Patreon group of how it's going. And it's fascinating. And I'm learning so much. But I'm not ready to wrap up the movie yet. So, I don't know, maybe 5 years?
It needs time.
It needs time.
Yeah.
Because the point is, I'm not trying to force the horse to change.
Yeah.
I'm trying to offer the horse my companionship and see what they want to offer me in return.
Yeah. How much time do you spend with the horses and with the film horses for Pura Vida before you start the trip?
We had 3 days before we started the trip, and it was very hot. So we spent sort of 2 to 3 hours with them each day.
Okay.
Before that, no, we had them for 6 weeks before the trip because they were very thin and they needed food.
Yeah.
So Andrea bought them, and all she did was feed them and put a halter on them and take the halter off every day.
Yeah.
So they were comfortable with food and halter, and they had their feet trimmed, and they had some veterinary care.
Yeah.
And then we started for real 3 days before the trip, and then we started walking.
Okay. I made a one little moment, please. You say, or you said, the movement. If we move with the horse together, they think more. And I have an experience like this, and a small one, but I made a trip with my mare. It was only two hours to walk, but it was fascinating. The beginning, she was so nervous, and she never was at this place, and we were alone without the other horses. Only my dog was with us, and if we start walking, and after each step it would be a little bit easier. And after the 2 hours, she was changing her mind. She was in another horse. She was so calm, and she starts thinking a lot. And yeah, so I understand what do you mean with the movements and the thinking, and so it starts quickly or more quickly if we change the thoughts in the head from the horses.
Yeah, absolutely. That's so neat that you have felt the way that works.
Yeah, yeah, great. How much time do you spend with the stallions now? You told each day, only each day. You told me that you stayed with Myrna 5 or 6 hours each day.
Yes.
And with the stallions, the same one, or
it's very different.
Yeah.
I have much more work now. When I was doing the project with Myrna, I mostly stopped my work and I just did that.
Yeah.
Now I am teaching online courses, so I have lots of online students, which is so much fun.
Yeah.
And I do interviews like this, and I have lots of other work, so I don't have as much time. I also found that Atlas is the puzzle I'm trying to solve. He is the big, bright red question mark.
Yeah.
And so I find that I spend probably an hour or 2 every day with Atlas.
Yeah.
And I spend maybe an hour a week with Ari.
Maybe
so
what, an hour
1
a week?
hour a week.
Yeah, okay.
Ari doesn't get very much attention because he's easy.
He's
very easy.
Yeah, okay.
And
Great.
so I spend a few minutes every day with him,
Yeah.
but it's not very long because he doesn't have any real problems.
Yeah, okay.
Whereas Atlas has so many problems, I really want to solve those problems.
But that is another difference to the first horse, Myrna. just the time to
Yes.
spend with. And so it's not a big surprise that the whole process is or not takes more time because you are more busy than like Myrna. And
Yes.
Atlas has a whole package on his back. Yeah,
Yes.
it's
Yeah.
another difference to Myrna, I think. Or
It's a big difference.
yeah,
And when I was doing the project with Myrna, I didn't have a lot of other responsibilities for horses, but now I have 10 horses. And so I have 10 horses, and only 2 of them are Atlas and Ari, who are my main project. But I
yeah,
still have to make sure that the other 8 horses are fed and cared for and all of the other things.
yeah, yeah,
So, and then
yeah,
on top of that, when there's the possibility, I love to get on an airplane and travel and go teach
yeah,
clinics.
great,
So it's going to take a little bit longer.
yeah. And that's good because we are thankful that you're traveling, and so we hopefully can you see next year. And
Yes, I
so
hope so.
yeah,
I love my online courses. I think the computer
yeah,
is a really good way
yeah,
to teach freedom-based training because it's slow over 8 weeks.
yeah,
And that's the best way to learn this.
yeah.
But there's something really fun about seeing you face to face, in
Mm-hmm.
person, in real time.
Yeah,
And I like that part too.
yeah. Both of this, yeah. But it's good that you can do it now in this time with online course. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's great. Yeah, but I'm looking forward to see you in person next year.
me too.
Yeah. So, and you told me that you have 10 horses now.
Yes.
Yeah, because my good daughter, she asked me how many horses Elsa have. I said, I don't know. Maybe I can ask your aunt. So
Yep. A
yeah,
lot of them are the horses that I rode when I was a small child,
yeah,
and they will live with us for their whole life.
mm,
So that's just part of having a big family.
great.
And some of them are horses that went away to be in other people's families and then have come back. But that's also important to me. For all of my horses, if there's a good opportunity for them to be part of someone else's family, I will
Yeah,
gladly let them go. But
yeah,
when they need to come home, they
yeah.
should come home.
Oh, wonderful. It's fantastic. Yeah,
Yeah.
great. um, so I forget my red line. um, you said that I have another question in my head, but I forget it now. Maybe I recognize it later now. So my good daughter want that I send you lovely greetings from her. She was too shy to say it alone. Yeah. But we talked about the films. And you, my another question was, does it work like you thought about it before you start the project with the stallions? But you told that you
Yeah.
started a little bit different.
I'm glad for the differences. I am learning things that I would not have learned if I
Yeah.
had done it exactly the same way.
Yeah.
I find when the process is slower, when the pieces that we are studying are smaller, I
Yeah.
learn more details. And that's very important to me.
Right. Do you have any goals for your own?
Oh, that's a big question.
Maybe,
So many.
maybe, yeah, so maybe, so many, yeah. Maybe in this way, with freedom-based training or horses, or you work with horses or people, or yeah.
I think that my own goals are very simple, and that is to learn and to keep learning so that I can do better work every day. And I measure that by the way that I can teach others what I have learned. So when I can put my own education into stories or into classes or into courses, and then I watch how it works when other people try it. So when I suggest to look in a certain direction when the horse does this, I want to see other people try it and see if it works as well for them as it did for me. And that's how I measure the progress. I don't know how many people are going to be interested in this. Honestly, I'm more surprised every day that there are more people that want to try this. And I say, do you know how slow this is? They say, yes, it's okay. I say, but it's really slow.
Yeah.
Are you sure you want to do this? But the good thing is it combines with other training. People can do half an hour of freedom-based training and then put their bridle on and find that their other training works even better. And you don't have to choose freedom-based training versus other training. You can put them together. I try to be very pure in my freedom-based training because that's the way I think I can learn it best and teach it best. But I do that to the degree that it's possible while it's safe and healthy for every horse.
Yeah.
So with Atlas, my very difficult stallion, I have had to combine some dominance in there just to keep him safe and healthy while I learn how to do everything in small steps of training.
Yeah.
So
I think it's wonderful that you can took little pieces and to put it in another trainings, or I use it in the therapy with horses too. Maybe an example, I have a mare, she doesn't like it to touch, but if I would like to therapy her body, I have to come very closely, and it works very well if I step away, only if she is blinking or licking and chewing or move her ears. And the people are sometimes very scared about that, or what do you do? And so I explain it, and it helps her very, very, very well. Yeah.
I have a student that's used this a lot in veterinary treatments for things that hurt a horse, where you have to clean a wound or help them. And she uses a halter and a lead rope and a friend to help her. And what that friend will do is they will say, the horse is freezing more now, the horse is thinking more now.
Okay.
So the friend will tell her what is happening in the eyes and the ears while she is treating the wound. And at the moment that the horse is thinking the most, she will take breaks.
Wow. Yeah.
And she's found that that really helps lower the stress for the horse and makes them much more patient with the process that is painful but necessary.
Cool. That's a very great information, because we trim the hooves from our horses by our own, because we didn't find the right person here next to us. And so we can took us together with two persons, and I will try this. Great.
It helps because when you're underneath the horse trimming a foot, you can't see the ears or the eyes. So having a friend talk to you about what's happening gives you better timing when you release the foot.
Yeah, wonderful. Ah, that's fantastic. I'm looking forward for tomorrow.
And that's one of the ways that freedom-based training the theories can help even dominant training or places where we have to use more pressure. We can still use really good feel and timing.
Yeah, great.
Yeah.
I have a thought about your goal or your film Pura Vida, because you told it was totally okay that the horse will maybe don't able to ride, and you said it is okay. I will walk the cross country. It's okay. Do you think this sort was a key to the process?
Yes.
Yeah.
I find that comes back to this idea of think and yield and play. When we accept the horse the way they are, and they do not have to change,
Yeah.
they are much more willing to change.
Yeah.
If we come in with this fight of you will change, they want to fight back.
Yeah.
And so it's better if we can come in a playful, gentle way and say, maybe you never change.
Yeah, but it's okay.
It's okay.
Okay. Yeah.
But the thing is, life is change. They will always change. Even if you say, it is okay, you never have to change, they will change.
Yeah.
That is what being alive is. Being alive is change.
Yeah. So it's a crossing or a cross from the humans and the horses, and I think we don't like it too if other people would like to change us. We only would like to be where we are, but we like changing if it comes from here, or yeah,
I will argue with you a little bit there.
Yeah.
Because I think people and horses
Yeah.
like what is familiar.
Yeah.
And so if you have past good exchanges, past good experience with someone forcing you to change and then being very happy, you will want to find another person to force you to change.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah. I agree.
Yeah. So it just depends on what you've experienced in the past. If someone forced you to change and you did not feel good, you will not want that to happen again.
Yeah.
But everyone who comes to me wants to think their horse loves freedom. And I have found many horses do not like freedom. Many horses have found that when they are free to make their own choices, they have made bad choices and then they felt bad. And so if you put them in a situation and you say, what would you like? They get very stressed and very concerned because they have this anticipation that it's going to get worse.
Yeah.
And so there are many horses who, when you start freedom-based training, actually have to go through a process where they learn that it's okay to be free.
Yeah.
There are many horses, particularly in clinics, who will go get their halter. Their halter will be lying on the ground. And after a certain amount of freedom-based training, they just stand at their halter and they paw at it and they move it. Will you please put that back on? Because their experience is they felt better when someone told them what to do. It was easier. It was familiar.
Yeah. And do you think all of these horses would like to change their mind if the people do freedom-based training a long time? Or maybe,
You know, I think horses just want to feel better.
Yeah.
And if you do a good job with freedom-based training and it results in feeling better, then yes, they will love it. But it depends on your feel and your timing and how much money you can put in the relationship bank in freedom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I have the last one, the last question. How can people get information about you and your work? You told us about your online course.
Yeah.
And
The best way to get information is at my website, which is tamingwild.com. And from there, you can get links to my Facebook page. You can get links to my Patreon page where I post a new video every week. You can get links to my email address if you want to contact me about the online course. You can sign up for my newsletter. I only send out 4 newsletters a year because I know people do not like too many emails. So 4 times a year you will hear from me. But yes, the website, tamingwilds.com, is the best way to get more information.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Elsa.
Thank you. I really enjoyed this conversation, Sina.
Yeah, me too.